Hey, so we gave her a pumpkin, and they're safe for dogs. Everything. Sorry if you're crinkling. I'm eating a popsicle, and it's amazing. Um, my dog trainer, and I have to take her to puppy training by like contract that I signed with the breeder and stuff. The dog trainer is kind of an idiot, but I'm humoring her because I don't want to make things any harder than they have to be. So I can't take Spectra to dog parks or on walks until the training is done, basically. And that means that I have to find other ways of entertaining her apart from training because training is no fun and she gets bored of it. Spectra, go get it. Go get it. And so yeah, gave her pumpkin and she's more obsessed with the stem than anything because she doesn't know that there's stuff inside yet. Spectra. This is just all these little flecks you see on the ground are like either rocks or pieces of pumpkin stem. Come on. What's this? But yeah, so if you get a dog trainer, like interview them before you pay them because, for instance, this lady that we paid her $150 for 6 sessions, and it's 1 session a week, and they're an hour long. And if you consider that there's another 5 dogs in the class, that means she got, whatever, like $800 or something. I don't even know. For that hour, or for that 6-week period. So for that hour, it's like 100 something bucks an hour. It's like 125, 150 an hour. And that's a lot of money to pay somebody. So she's not allowed to go inside with that. So I'll have to kick it. But she's an idiot. Like, she told us, like, everybody that there's a 10-foot leash law on BLM land, which, if you don't know, that's the Bureau of Land Management, which basically means federal land. That's a lot of times where you're going to go to hunt, like with hunting dogs that retrieve your birds or whatever you're killing, you're hunting. The dog goes, gets it, brings it back to you. And I'm pretty sure that, while shotguns might have a short range, you're shooting birds from, quite a distance. And if there was a 10-foot law for off-leash on BLM land, nobody would ever be able to go hunting with a dog. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then called the BLM to, follow up on it, and they also said there's no law like that. But even then, she's, refusing to acknowledge it. And, even when she's, shown, evidence of it being completely legal, she, doesn't agree. And so, yeah, that's just how she is. It's really, really annoying. She's also one of those people that's, only positive reinforcement dog training. Well, the thing about positive reinforcement dog training that nobody's ever going to tell you, if they're a positive reinforcement trainer, is that no reward is negative reinforcement. So your dog, when they do something and don't get rewarded for it, when they think they're doing what you want, that's a negative reinforcement, right? So there's no such thing as positive reinforcement dog training. What they mean is you're not directly punishing your dog. You're not hitting your dog for doing something wrong, or you're not submitting your dog for misbehaving, right? But there's other ways of dog training that don't involve doing that. And depending on what kind of dog you have, anybody with a brain that has a protective class dog, that has the instincts, the protective instincts. So you have a civil aggressive dog. And what that basically means is a dog that's willing to attack people. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. Dogs are bred for that. Police dogs, for instance, they're civil aggressive because they have to be. But you can't be your dog's best friend if you have a dog like that. They have to respect you, and you have to be the boss, And that's not necessarily how positive reinforcement training is going to work all the time, which is, another thing that they'll say, oh, it does. But if you watch, police dogs getting trained and stuff, it's not all loves and cuddles, all right? And those are, probably the most trained dogs, as well as, service dogs and stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's my rant about positive reinforcement training. But yeah, so just fun, cute pumpkin stuff. I'll probably record again if she actually breaks it open and figures this out. I think she's actually getting it right now. She's putting holes in it. Oh, look at you. But yeah, anyway, the other thing about that trainer is we have 2 aggressive dogs in our class, and they're actually the owners are taking the class to find out how to deal with their dog's aggression problems. And they're not huge dogs. They're both corgi mixes, actually. And I've had really bad luck with sheepdogs. Not every sheepdog, but every aggressive dog at the dog park, except for one husky. And huskies aren't generally good with smaller animals or dogs to begin with, so it wasn't really that surprising because she was a puppy like a super small puppy at the time. But every other dog has been a sheepdog that I've had issues with. And it's because they don't play well with other dogs. They have like their herding instincts, and that usually involves like being very mouthy. And when a dog doesn't do what they want, they get frustrated. So they'll run your dog into the ground and stuff, and it's not malicious. It's just that's how they play. They're herding, and they don't necessarily have an off switch. But anyways, these 2 dogs in the class are fear aggressive, leash aggressive dogs, which means they're scared of other dogs and they'll attack another dog rather than run away. Especially if they feel like they can't run away because they're on a leash, which is why it's called leash aggression. And the fact that you have a puppy training class that allows, for instance, dogs that are not puppies and leash aggressive dogs as well, when it's explicitly stated to be an adolescent dog training class, is ridiculous to me. Like, I've got a 5-month-old puppy here that loves every dog she sees, right? She just wants to be buddies with everybody, but she's an extremely dangerous breed, and she has fighting dog in her lineage. Some dogos in countries that are, that legally allow fighting, are fighting dogs. It's disgusting and despicable, but they're a sought after fighting dog because they're very tough and they're very strong. And even though they don't have the innate aggression, you can teach any dog to be aggressive. So you have these 2 dogs that are aggressive and they're sitting right next to her and they're growling and being really mean, and she's protective. So she'll flip out and be like, hey, leave me alone, right? Or don't mess with my owner and me. And then the trainer, for some reason, gets upset and she's like, you need to get Spectra to stop challenging those dogs. And I'm sitting here like, lady, you might not be able to hear this because you're on the other side of the room, but they're growling at us. Like, they're sitting under their owner's chairs with their tails tucked, growling. And Spectra is sitting or standing next to me, like wagging her tail nonstop and like looking up at me or looking up at the nice dogs and trying to say hi and everything if she's not calmed down. But she's a puppy. That's what puppies do, And so instead of trying to solve the problem, the trainer is just taking them through the normal training classes and saying that like they'll get over it as they're, around other dogs, which may very well be true. And that's actually how you should deal with the problem, right? Is by basically showing them other dogs that are friendly and allowing them to interact. But you do that when the other dogs that you're having them interact with are already very socialized animals, right? They're older dogs, at least mature, and they're able to behave even if the leash aggressive dog snaps at them. They're going to correct, but they're not going to overreact, and that's not going to be an imprinting experience, meaning they're not going to then fear every dog that they see on a leash, right? Because that creates another kind of leash aggression. Whereas like this trainer, it's just, she's allowing these dogs to be near puppies, and those puppies could end up becoming leash aggressive as a result of having leash aggressive dogs around them, like for 6 training sessions. I think it's completely irresponsible. But and her advice to the people who wanted help for the leash aggression, the 2 different people, one person in particular, said that there's a lot of people around where she lives that have their dogs off leash, and they're all friendly dogs, but her dog is leash aggressive. So how does she deal with that? Because her dog could get hurt if they come over and it attacks them, and then they defend themselves. And I'm just thinking, well, you need to be a responsible dog owner. You need to fix your dog's issues, and you need to not take it on walks where there are dogs off leash. It's not hard to drive out into the middle of nowhere in Nevada. It's very easy to find somewhere where there's not going to be other dogs and walk your dog. But instead, the trainer is like, no, I think you should just carry some like citrine spray or pepper spray with you so that, you know, whenever those dogs run up to your dog, you just spray them because they're not legally allowed to be off leash anyway. And I'm just thinking, lady, if you teach dogs that running up to people in a friendly manner is suddenly dangerous, they're going to be scared of people, right? Like, why would you want to spray a healthy dog and a happy dog and a friendly dog if it's coming up to say hi to you and your unfriendly dog, right? Like, yes, it might end up hurting your unfriendly dog if it gets attacked first, but it just wants to say hi and socialize. And it's your responsibility for taking your dog into a place that you know has unleashed animals, right? So it's ridiculous to me that you're somehow justified in this trainer's mind by creating a negative experience for a friendly dog just because your dog is unfriendly and might attack that friendly dog. I would rather have my dog aggressive towards other like dogs and animals than people. And by spraying a dog, you're basically going to teach it, depending on the type of dog it is and its temperament, that it's actually dangerous to be near people. And then you're going to get a fear-aggressive dog towards humans. So humans that it doesn't know, it thinks they're going to spray it, right? Or it's scared it's going to get sprayed just for getting near them. So you have someone walk into your house, like a friend that you haven't introduced your dog to yet. And instead of going up to greet your friend happily, your dog might actually hide from your friend. And if your dog tries to greet, or your friend tries to greet your dog, they might get bit, right? If this happens to the dog enough times. So if everybody thought the way that my trainer thinks, then you'd end up with a lot of aggressive dogs. And yeah, I don't know. Some people that work at the veterans place, they do service dog training for like PTSD and service dogs and like emotional support dogs, other things. And they said there's no good dog trainers in Reno that aren't like directly working for them. And you cannot get your dog trained through them unless you're a disabled veteran. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really crazy that somebody who's been a dog trainer for 50 years does things like that. And there's also some other gripes I have. This has turned into a crazy rant, but she doesn't bring her dogs to the class. And in my mind, if you're a dog trainer and you're proud of your dogs, right? Like, if you're a dog trainer and you have untrained dogs, you're not a dog trainer. If you're a dog trainer and you have trained dogs, you would bring them to class to show them off and to say, hey, this is what you could get. This is motivation for you, right? To train your dogs to be as good as my dogs. It's totally possible. I've done it. Here's how you do it. And instead, this lady doesn't bring her dogs to the class. And furthermore, she doesn't allow people to pet her dogs on walks or anything. These are not service dogs. These are companion animals. They are nothing more than her buddies, right? Trained, supposedly, but her buddies. And they don't work. They just train and they live at home and they play. They're normal dogs, like Spectra, for instance. So why wouldn't you let someone pet your dog, you know? And it's not like she just said kids. She said nobody's allowed to pet my dogs. And, I mean, I can understand to some extent, but as a dog trainer, your dogs are animal ambassadors, right? Your dogs should be the example for people who are scared of dogs to say, hey, maybe dogs aren't so bad. And if you're saying don't pet my dogs, right, when you supposedly have trained animals, that's a really, really odd thing to be saying if it's not a service dog, if it's not currently working, right? If it's service, I totally understand, because then it'll get distracted, right? But if you have dogs that like people, that are well trained, then why wouldn't you take them to your class and show them off? Why wouldn't you let people say hi to them? You know? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's really aggravating. If I was a dog trainer, I would definitely be taking my dog to every class. And everyone could say hi to my dog. Like, I wouldn't have any problem with it. Incidentally, I'm actually thinking of doing dog training, but I was very demoralized when my trainer said that just about every trainer in Nevada has had to go through her to get certified. So, not that I think it would be very difficult to get certified through her, because I think she's incompetent, but just the fact that I'd have to put up with it for even longer would be completely annoying. Because, like, I love dogs, and someone telling me, like, things that I know to be untrue, and I'm not saying, like, you know, for instance, the way Cesar Millan trains dogs is 100% right or anything. Like, I'm not even going to take sides in the argument of, like, how to train a dog necessarily, but some things are just totally wrong, you know? Like, telling someone to pepper spray a friendly dog because it's running up to you, and you're worried that your dog is going to attack it and then get hurt as a result. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, rant over. It looks like she's figured out that the pumpkin is in fact edible and somewhat tasty. I'm not sure if she likes it. I know it's safe for dogs, so I'm not worried about that. But she's kind of just spitting it out everywhere. And she hasn't gotten into the actual pumpkin yet, you know, like, she's just kind of ripping the skin apart, which is fine. She'll do what she does. I was expecting her to, like, slam it on the ground or something and get super excited when it exploded, but I have a feeling it's going to be a much slower burn. Let's see. Yeah, she's really just kind of going for it, like eating it a little bit at a time, although, oh, no, you cannot have my popsicle. She knows she's not allowed to have these. She likes the wrappers. It's like a routine that I have. If I want her to go to sleep and she's still awake, I go and sit on my bed with a popsicle, and she lays on my lap and eats the bottom of the wrapper, like chews on it, while I suck on the popsicle. And then by the time I'm done with the popsicle, she's usually asleep. It's kind of adorable. But I've been doing it with her ever since she was like 9 weeks old to kind of like condition her that way. And it just happened the first time and she did it and I thought it was cute, and then I just kept doing it because it worked. But now it's like an actual thing that if I have a popsicle and I sit down, she'll sit on my lap, chew on the wrapper as I'm finishing it, and then pass out. And she can't do anything to the wrapper. They're like these tough plastic things. She can't break them. Unless I let her have them. Like, I just let her chew on them. So, anyhow, see you guys later. Sorry for the massive, massive trainer rant.